Yeah, so back to this series of why I wrote Just Like Little. I was in such a dark place. I was so suffocated. I felt like, I just needed a little love from a man that I met in church who claimed to love me so much. But yeah, how did all of this happen? So in my previous video I spoke about a bit of the backstory. I shared a bit of a disclaimer. Obviously all the people that were involved were not out to get me. They thought they were doing the right thing, and a lot of churches have this false doctrine of the pastor influencing your marital choices, which is what I want to raise awareness of, because it's just not biblical at all. And you don't need a pastor to tell you who your husband is. You don't need a prophet to tell you who your spouse is. You can choose to date whoever you want, and you can marry whoever you want. Like, you don't need to over spiritualize the entire thing. So everything was fine. Like, spiritual life was good. My relationship with God was getting better. Like, I was really growing spiritually, and I was really happy that I was really connecting to God and things like that. And I would spend time with God, even like in my quiet time by myself. While I was in Manchester, so I'd moved back to Manchester where I'm from, and I was just working. And I had a good relationship with my pastor. Like, he would call me regularly just to see how I'm doing spiritually, things like that. And then he would always like hint about me moving back to Luton. I would even like go for like conferences when they would like host conferences in Luton and stuff like that. And because I would like sing in the choir and stuff like that, he would always like ask me to sing. And like, I used to always like lead worship a lot whilst I was there, so then he would ask me to come back and like lead worship. So I'd like do lead worship and stuff like that. And because I was in Manchester as well, he would say how he missed my voice a lot, how it'd be great if I could be back and stuff like that. And a topic of marriage would come up often as well, and he would say how I need to be in a place where there's fire, so that my spouse is a fire carrier as well, insinuating basically that not every church really has like the fire of God and the presence of God and things like that. And I didn't see anything wrong with what he was saying at the time, but hindsight is a beautiful thing. So I was working and stuff like that, and I just felt like maybe I should just take the leap of faith, the jump, and move back to Luton. So I handed in my notice, and I was there for 2 years. It was my first job out of university. I wouldn't say it was a graduate job, but it was my first job out of when I'd graduated. And I was pretty settled, actually. So for me to quit a job where I was there for 2 years, to like leave my family, leave my friends, like go back to Luton, was actually a big drastic decision looking back. And I left my church as well, because my dad's a pastor as well. Left that church, went back to Luton to be a part of another ministry. And I didn't even have a place yet. I stayed at one of the girls' houses who goes to the church as well. She was still a student at the time, so I just stayed with her at the time. And I was like looking for a place of where I could stay whilst I'd moved over. I'd literally just got a new job, and that job is a whole other story. Like, yeah, that job didn't end up working out in the end. What they were advertising wasn't actually what the job role wasn't actually what the job role was. So I took such a risk moving back, and hindsight is a beautiful thing. I mean, I've learned the lessons that I've learned, and I wouldn't have it any other way. But I just wouldn't recommend leaving your friends, your family, just because of a church. And God is everywhere. The right advice would have been to just continue growing in my faith. You've helped me take God more seriously with your sermons and stuff like that, but advising me to leave my friends, my family, to go all the way to Luton to be a part of your ministry, I don't think you know, it's not realistic, because then I started to deal with a lot of loneliness, just being by myself all the time, and like having to like make new friends who had already who have already got like their close-knit friendships already. So like trying to like make new friends was like difficult as well. And like no one talks about the times where, okay, service is great, but then you're going home to the four walls and you're just by yourself, like you're just on your own. And like, I don't know if you've been to Luton before, but there's not much you can do there. There's not really much social events to try and like meet other people. And like with the church as well, like you're not advised to really like make friends outside of the church. So it's like kind of have to like try and force friendships within the church, and it's very difficult because you're not going to click with everyone. So that's how I ended up moving back to the church. Even when I did move back initially, you know, we had choir rehearsals that night and I had to be there. So I was just quite taken back by how everybody was like, go, 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 go. Like it had to, like, even though I've had like a long journey back, I still had to stay behind and rehearse, even though I was completely exhausted. So like even like the work culture was quite toxic as well. And so the Sunday service comes, and this is when I meet my ex-husband. And I remember the sermon. Actually no, I don't remember the sermon, but I remember it was held at the University of Bedfordshire, because we were still looking. They were still looking for a building. Was always changing buildings and stuff. And then after the sermon, there was like food at the back and stuff like that. And I remember catching up with like some friends that I had there. Well, I say friends, but I wasn't close to anyone at the time. So I was just catching up with people that I haven't spoken to in a while. And then I was at the back just getting some food or whatever, and then I spoke to some other guys that go to the church as well from the uni. And I noticed like every time I speak to a guy, I'd get looked at. And I think there's like this policing against like talking to the opposite sex in churches as well, when it's literally nothing, like you're just talking kind of thing, but you're kind of like watched in a way. So then I finished speaking to the guys, catching up with them, and then I went to get some food or whatever, and I just kind of noticed that I was being watched by another guy. I didn't know this one. He was like a new guy, so I was like, I don't know who you are kind of thing. So I just got some food and I went to go to leave. Then he walks up to me and he's just like, oh, I think I know a gift that your dad would like. It was so random. Mind you, this is my ex-husband, so you're probably thinking, how did you end up marrying him? But that's part of the story. And then he was just talking, and then I was just like, why'd you ask kind of thing? He was like, oh, people like you. And I'm like, oh, how'd you know that? And he was like, oh, where are you from? And I was like, Nigerian. And I was like, why are you from? He was like, Ghanaian. But I think my mum was still like, you know, and I was just like, well, okay, whatever kind of thing. I'm not sure if it was the first time he saw me. I think it's the first time that I saw him. And it was so weird. It was very full on, and you know, I'm not going to, let me do another video.